I work with primarily late teens and early 20-year-olds, and there are some common problems that I see. Today in this video, I wanted to talk about some of those common problems and relate to them with my experiences when I was that age. So the first big problem that I see is students not sleeping. They may have stayed up all night playing video games or stayed up all night worrying about something, and when they come into class, they may have their head down on the desk and be far too tired to engage. And this was something that I personally did myself too when I was that age. I would be up most of the night playing World of Warcraft, and then when it came to the morning, I probably would have had only about 2 hours sleep, and I'd walk all the way to school as slow as possible, walking at a snail's pace, finally get to school, and during some of those classes, I just had to put my head down on the desk and try my best not to fall asleep. So this is why I feel like I can't just tell those people, oh, just get a routine, oh, just go to bed earlier, because I would not have done that myself. And that's because those late night gaming sessions were just so important to me. That's all I wanted to do. I had no passion to do anything else. I just wanted to play that game late into the night. So I can totally understand why there are students who are doing that today. There's probably many people out there who are doing that today. And it's definitely something that I've done myself. But I can only speak from my own experiences of what's helped me. And the only thing that got me out of that was actually just living by a schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. And that's the only thing that has cured my problems with sleep. I can't really say that word cure. I still do get problems with my sleep, but it definitely helps. Now, when it comes to worry, this is also something that I have struggled with many times throughout my life. And really all I can say is what's helped me is either talking about it or writing it down, or maybe writing on your notes on your phone. And that's why whenever I see a student who looks very tired, I'll ask them if they're okay. I'll ask them how did they sleep. If they tell me they didn't sleep very well, I'll ask them what happened. Were you worrying about something? Were you playing video games? And usually they'll tell me the truth. Yeah, I was playing video games. Or some people do tell me they were stressed about something. And we can talk about that or try and come up with some sort of solution for their stress. And if I can't, then I'll just let them know that I'm here and I can talk with them if they feel like they want to have a chat with me. So the next one is people feeling like that the classes they're attending are pointless. And this is something that I have also been guilty of. Some classes do just feel pointless because you have no interest in that class whatsoever. And then perhaps the educational place where you are force you to attend these classes. For me, I felt like a lot of the classes in secondary school around GCSEs were pointless because the word on the street was no one cares about GCSEs. Once you get some and you're able to get into college, no one cares. Employers don't look at GCSEs. And that was the impression that I had about GCSEs when I was younger. These are the exams that you do at the end of secondary school. So this would be high school for you Americans out there. And because I've been through this myself, I can totally understand those students who tell me, I don't care about this class. I'm not even going to turn up to this class because I think it's pointless. And the only thing I can really say is doing these classes, they might help you. They might help you realize what you don't want to do. Like you already know you don't want to do this. So that's actually really good. We know what you don't want to do. That's a positive in itself. You've learned something about yourself. But I do think there is value in trying with these classes, even though I'm completely going against what my behavior that I did when I was in school. I would tell myself if I could go back. Not everything is as pointless as it feels in the moment. Sometimes you do remember those small things, those small random things later in life. But I can say a lot of the things did just feel really pointless. A lot of the maths stuff that I've learned can I really say I've learnt it when I've forgotten most of it? What I learnt to do in science class is I learnt how to do the Rubik's Cube, and I would copy my friend's work afterwards. And DT, I did not do very well in DT. History class, I did do well because I actually found it interesting. So the real lesson that I could say to these students when they're telling me that this class is pointless is well done for learning something about yourself. You've discovered that you don't like this subject, and perhaps it's something that could be returned to in the future through a different lens, or perhaps it's just the way that the teacher is presenting it. Sometimes students just don't like the teacher, and that could be the problem itself. Sometimes it does, teaching is a very hard job, but sometimes it just takes a certain person to make something interesting. And I think a lot of the problems when it comes to feeling like these classes are pointless is, like I said, we're forced to attend these classes and it may not be aligned with your interests. So if you feel like you're being forced into doing something that you don't want to do, it's not a surprise when you don't engage. So the next big thing that I see is anxiety. And this could be anxiety with other people around the educational setting. This could be anxiety in going outside. This could be anxiety in any sort of new experience that you haven't done before. And this is something I've experienced myself also many times. It still comes into play very frequently for me today. So the only thing that I can suggest is coming up with strategies to help you manage your anxiety. So for myself, that would be preparing. If I'm worried about having to go somewhere or having to do something, having to turn up on time to something, I would plan it all out. I would make sure that I know when I'm going to get on, say, the train. I know when the train's going to be there. I know what time I need to get to the train station. I know what time that train is leaving the station so I can be there ready. I know what time that train's going to arrive at the next station, the station I want to get to. I know how long it's going to take me to walk from the station to the location that I'm trying to go to. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is I like to schedule those things, plan them all out, so I know exactly what I'm going to do. But to follow up from that, not everything goes to plan. So sometimes you have to plan to fail, plan for things to go wrong. And this is just my approach when it comes to these sort of things, when it comes to anxiety. I like to plan things. It makes me feel like I'm gaining some sort of control over the situation. And if it's not the type of thing that you can really plan for, I think just talking about it is probably one of the best things that you could do. So when I see students that want some support, they seem quite anxious, I will ask them how they're doing, what's on their mind, talk it out. And if they're not the kind of person that wants to talk in that moment, maybe we could write something down, or I could let them have some quiet time on their own. Sometimes we just need that space to be on our own, feel those feelings, feel that anxiety, and let it pass. And that's something I've also learned to do over the years, is actually just let myself feel those emotions. Let them come, then let them pass as well. These emotions won't last forever. They're just a response to whatever you're thinking about, whatever's going on in your environment. It's a natural human response. Anxiety is a normal thing to experience. And sometimes it just takes a bit of practice to allow yourself to sit in that feeling and get used to feeling it. So another problem that I see is drama, arguments, people not getting on, people taking things out of context as to what other people are saying. And I think this is just always going to happen when you're in a setting where there's lots of different people. There's always going to be some sort of drama. So the way that I deal with this is actually, retrospectively looking back at it, it's a learning experience. These dramas may seem like the biggest thing that's ever happened in your life when they're going on. But when you've got some distance between you, in retrospect, sometimes you might see they're not as big as they seemed. But definitely these dramas can have a huge impact on your well-being, on how you're feeling about yourself. So these dramas must be addressed. And I think this is just where I learned to keep to myself. So back when I was in the educational setting as a student, there of course were these dramas that were going on. And my go-to approach would be to just not get involved. If it's not related to me, then I'm not getting involved. And if there was something that was going to happen to me, I learnt to be a runner. If someone was trying to perhaps start a fight with me or try and mug me or anything like that, I would run. And I could outrun a lot of people, so I felt quite safe in my ability to outrun these problems. But sometimes you can't outrun the problem, and sometimes you have to deal with conflict. And that's where these dramas can be a really good learning experience for building yourself more confidence in dealing with confrontation. And to be completely transparent, this is something I'm terrible at. I am really bad with confrontation. And that's why I think I actually really do struggle with negative comments, because it's a form of confrontation. For some reason, it sounds like I'm saying that word really strangely. So I can't say I've got much good advice for dealing with confrontation. Still feels weird to say that word. But what I can say is try and make your body as physically prepared for this. Build yourself up, strengthen your body. Practice hitting the punch bag in your local gym. Get yourself feeling capable so you don't feel so vulnerable if there was to be something we have to confront someone. And as with anything, it's probably just a case of exposure to it and building your confidence up so you feel like you can deal with it. In terms of where I work, I need to diffuse these dramas, but as the person going through it and experiencing it, it's a whole different story. And the options that I chose to do when I was in these sort of situations were to either not get involved or run away. So this next point is high caffeine use and vaping. And the thing is, I feel like a hypocrite if I criticize anyone that does these things, because I used to drink energy drinks, not to an extreme extent. Like when I was younger, I did drink energy drinks. I've drunk coffee for the majority of my life. I used to smoke. I have vaped before. So I can't tell anyone not to do it. And that's not what I'm setting out to do here. It's just an observation that I hear from people that they may have drunk cans of Monster Energy. And it does concern me when I hear people coming in and saying that they've drunk more than 2 cans of Monster Energy drink. Some people say it doesn't affect them, that they feel nothing from it. But still in the back of my mind, I get this concern that drinking more than 2 Monster Energy drinks in a sitting is a lot. And just the amount that I see people drinking these large energy drinks does concern me. As an adult, a person, in their 30s, it concerns me. When I was that age, I didn't care and I drank them too. I didn't really drink Monsters. I actually went to the local shop called Lidl and we get 4 cans for £1. And these were little cans. But yes, I still drank energy drinks. So I can't really criticize anyone for doing it because I did it myself. So let's talk a little bit about vaping. When I'm outside my place of work, it absolutely stinks of these sweet aromas. Everyone is vaping, and the general public, I see so many people vaping, it's everywhere. And again, I've done it myself. I didn't vape for that long. I did smoke cigarettes back when I was 17, so I can't say to anyone, don't do that because I'd feel like a hypocrite. But it is important to think about the long-term effects. When I was 17, I had none of those concerns in the back of my mind. It was what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. The consequences of the long-term effects of doing these things meant nothing to me. So I can understand why so many younger people do it now, because I've been there myself. But as a health-conscious 30-year-old, when I see everyone vaping, smoking, drinking energy drinks, I do in the back of my mind think that we would be healthier if we weren't doing these things. But I'm sure these people have been told that before. They all know it. And again, I'd feel like a hypocrite if I was to try and tell them not to. So I don't do that. I never complain. I just observe. And the only thing I can do is choose what to do with my own body. Yes, I used to do those things, and I don't do them today. And I do worry about those effects because it was so many years ago. I used to smoke. What effects is that had on my lungs today? Would I be a healthier, fitter person today if I didn't do those things when I was 17? There's no way for me to ever find out an answer to these things. So those were some common things that I see at my place of work, and I just wanted to talk about them a bit today and share them with you, see if you relate to any of these things. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.